Good day, traders. Hope you guys are good and welcome to this week's segment of our weekly market breakdowns. Without wasting any time, I'm going to start by looking at EURCAD. And this is an update. If you follow my weekly market breakdowns, we talked about this pair about 2-3 months ago. So nothing has changed. My bias is still bearish on this pair. As you can see, we have like this lower high, lower low structure and still hasn't been violated. Our most recent high being this one right here hasn't been violated, right? But then my chat was, we have this imbalance over here that I feel like the market has to fill, right? If the market does not feel it, it means that there could be a hidden order block on this candlestick. You get what I mean? But if price does eventually find its way here, I'm hoping that it taps into this supply before going down, right? Our most recent low being this one over here. And so, right, price in this context is stuck within a correction. Now, because we're in a seller's market, it does not necessarily mean that we should be selling right now, right? Especially where price is currently at. We should be waiting for either two things. Wait for the market to either break below the structure, retest it by finding an order block, and then continue to the downside, or go up, take out this liquidity right here with the equal highs, and then move down, right? So those are the two scenarios that I see unfolding on EURCAD. But then let's go to the daily and just see what's happening, right? As we go to the daily, you'll realize that we are on this demand zone, daily demand, right? Now there's a problem with these demand zones. Number one, this demand zone, it's not aligned with the main time frame direction. And then number two, it's not nested within a higher time frame zone, right? So this makes it a low probability zone, right? Although we see that there's been a reaction from this. Remember, we have a system that we use to grade potential areas of supply and demand. And depending on probability, we then react, right? Not every area of supply and demand should you be trading from. I always emphasize this, right? Because as a trader, especially a technical trader, you're always thinking in terms of probability. So when we're thinking in terms of probability, even if this zone holds, and let's say we get a buy setup, this area right here is not a high probability area. So this means because of what we saw in a high time frame, probably shouldn't be looking at buys. But let's assume that price does hold from this demand zone. I'm looking to sell from this nested supply, right? This is if price retests this premium zone, right? And I think it will also be a good thing because in this context, higher time frame supply will be in control and also will be in a nested zone. Also, we'll be taking out the liquidity right here, right? But then if we don't get those, I'm anticipating a breakout below this area over here. And with a breakout, a retest, search for an order block, and then move to the downside. But anyways, guys, this is all I have on EURCAD. Let's move on to another pair. Right, now we are on EURNZD, and it's been a minute since I looked at this pair, mainly because price has been stuck in a consolidation for such a long time that I didn't even look at it for a while. But anyways, we see that in a long-term downtrend. Recently, we had this high right here, and it wasn't violated because the market grabbed liquidity and quickly moved back into this range over here. You get it? So currently we see that price is dropping to this downside. And if you zoom in, you'll notice that there's an imbalance right here. And this is the source of that imbalance, right? So I see price dropping to that point, potentially going back to the upside or even breaking through it, because remember this zone is counter trend, right? So if QML laws apply, maybe it will be a zone to be trading from, right? In a sense that this will be your QML level, and then we will probably take profit from this zone or this area of liquidity, right? But then if those laws don't apply, then we should definitely be looking into securing other sets of cells. But then that's what we see when price eventually gets to that point. For now, we are concerned with what's happening with current market order flow, right? So if we go to lower time frames, you'll see that we are currently in a downtrend, right? And we recently got a confirmation for this correction. So we had an impulse, a correction, an impulse, and a correction. Now we got a recent breakout of this low right here with the strong candlestick. And I think it's only a matter of time till we get a confirmation on the smaller time frame for us to get an entry to the downside. Also, we see that there's liquidity over here. And I always say with liquidity, we know that there's incentive from high or big money to take out those orders and then move to the downside, especially if you understand the relationship between liquidity and imbalances, right? We've talked about this. If you still don't know what I'm talking about, check out my channel page. You will see videos that I made specifically about this topic, right? So let's move on to the 4 hour, which is our entry time frame. All right, as you can see, we are dropping. We took liquidity from this level, right? And then dropped. We keep on violating the lows, right? And then dropping to the downside, right? And then dropping to the downside. And we recently broken through this level. So what I'm seeing, right, is an opportunity for us to take a sell, right? Because this was not an entry based on like limit orders. It poses a huge risk in terms of our risk to reward. So our risk to reward is much less because of how far we have to put the stop loss, right? But other than that, this is an opportunity that I think is worth taking, right? So if you're considering taking this trade, especially if it's in line with what you saw already, make sure that you use proper risk management, right? So yeah, this is what I see on EURNZD. Let's move on to another pair. We're currently on on USDCAD, and as you can see right here, we are in a downtrend, right? We have this high that the market seems to be failing to break above, right? And we also have this low. So price is stuck in between this range. And the breakout of this range will determine whether or not price continues to go up or if price continues to drop, right? We are now only interested in recent price action. And if you look at what's been happening over the past couple of months, because you're on the weekly, of course, you can see that supply is in control, number one. Number two, we have sell pressure, right? You can tell by looking at these wicks, right? So where's the next level? Where should we be looking next? I think we should be looking at this demand zone, not necessarily for buys, but as our potential take profit, right? Because there is liquidity below that level. And also our lowest demand is this one, which is fresh, not tested, all those good stuff. If you need to know about these things, check out my Smart Money concept playlist, right? But anyways, this is what I see. Unless we get a strong push that eventually ends up with us breaking through zone, supply still in control. When you look at supply and demand, curve still in the seller's territory. So unless we break through the supply, only sales are valid. You get what I mean? So if you look at the lower time frame, you'll see that there was a liquidity grab right here, right? The market grabbed liquidity, and where did it go? It went into this supply zone, this nested supply zone, right? It filled in this imbalance over here, right? Now, if you're looking to enter into this pair, what I'd advise you to do is wait for a breakout below the zone over here. So wait for a breakout and a retracement back into the zone, either return to an order block or retest to the zone, one of those two confirmations, and then we can get our confirmation to trade. We also have this area of liquidity right here. And like I said, areas of liquidity have or create incentives. So for the market to take out those retail traders. But yeah, this is my take on on USDCAD. Let's move on to another pair. Now we are on the dollar index. And it's been a while since we looked at it. But anyways, we know that we're in an uptrend, right? Demand is in control and we're approaching a supply level, right? So the zone that I can definitely like say the zone we've identified and it's valid or a clearer zone is this one over here, right? So if we go to the lower time frames, you'll see that we've been going up. So we have this impulse, correction, impulse, and now we are currently in a correction / expansion phase. So with this phase, price can either move to the upside or correct, right? But we're currently in the correction phase of this trend, right? Meaning that for us to get a confirmation of this uptrend, price has to break through, or price has to break our most significant high, right? Only now, like so far, we've only been getting a manipulation on those highs, not necessarily a breakout. And even if you look at this recent price action, we've been manipulating this high. So we're looking for a strong impulsive candlestick that will not only break, but close above these highs to confirm that indeed the uptrend is still in control or it's still intact, right? If you look here, there's still this area of liquidity that I've been talking about previously, right? And also there's this demand zone over here that's only been tested once, right? Demand zone is still valid. Now, keeping what I said about the expansion phase into consideration, one scenario that could play out, right, is us getting a drop till this point and maybe going up, right? That's just one scenario. If we violate this demand zone, it means that we're in a distribution phase and then price is going to continue going down, right? So really, what I'm expecting this week is between us getting a strong impulsive move to the upside or us getting a potential drop to the downside, right? This is our area of liquidity, right, that we should be looking at. Right, let's go to the daily. This liquidity grab has become on here. There's efficiency right here, meaning there's no imbalance. And then if you look right here, there's a fresh nested demand with a strong departure away from it. Price spending optimal time away from it. So if price does go on this area, this is a very good area to be looking at, right? Other than the zone, we have this liquidity over here in a form of equal lows, right? And then we have this demand zone that we have retested, but not properly. You know what I mean? So that's the first zone that I'll be looking at. And this is the second zone that I'll be looking at. The confirmation that I'll be going down is maybe a breakout from this trend line, right? A breakout from this trend line because if we go to the 4 hour, let's go to the 4 hour. We have this high being violated, break of structure, right? And then we have this order block right here that hasn't been like really tested. So that's why I said we have to wait for the breakout of the trend line, because if you look at the trend line, you'll see that where the trend is supposed to touch, it's actually on the zone, right? The one thing that makes the zone a low probability level could be actually the fact that it's not nested within a high time frame. So, right. But like I said, if you look at it from this point of view of like third touch shit, if you're looking for a third touch on this, then this is probably the zone that you should be looking into, right? As you can see, price is continuing down. We have this imbalance over here, and we have this area of liquidity. So we already know that price is definitely making its way to this level, and we'll see what the confirmation candlesticks, if price breaks below this area or if price continues to go up, right? But yeah, these are my thoughts on the dollar index. Let's move to one final pair. Right. Now, the final pair for us this week will be gold versus the dollar. And as you can see right here, we're in this correction of this long-term uptrend. This is our most recent or all-time high, right? And because of this war, people are seeing gold as a safe haven, right? I think even if you look at Bitcoin has been Bitcoin has been taking strain, and people have been moving their money towards gold. So that's what I think is fueling this buy momentum of gold, right? So let me just highlight this area as an area of liquidity, right? And also this high, right? There really isn't any opposing supply zone, mainly because after this was formed, there was no real like imbalance. There's no imbalance for us to fill, right? It's just that level of liquidity. So going on to lower time frames, what are we seeing? First of all, I'm seeing a breakout of this high. I see prices violating highs right? I also see price creating new highs, right? And then we recently got a grab of liquidity from this one over here. So price broken out of this level and then used this mitigation block to continue moving up, right? So that's the overall liquidity that I'm seeing price fetching, right? So I'm seeing price moving to the upside, right? Now the question is, how do we position ourselves to take advantage of this? Now, if, say, for example, price is unable to continue higher, there's also this area of demand right here. There's an imbalance that price left here. So just so we don't confuse the two zones, I'll change the color of this one. So this is the fresh demand, resulting in a break of structure, has a strong departure, price is spent time away from the zone. So if we are unable to continue from this upside, we still have the zone, right, to trigger the buy orders, right? So let's go to the daily. If we go to the daily, we have a demand zone that's nested within that high time frame mitigation block. And we see with this reaction over here from this demand zone. So I think for now, price is trying to fill in this wick, right? If you are able to catch an opportunity, do you, man? Do you? Another zone that I feel like we should take into consideration is this nested demand over here, right? So those are the two levels that I'm looking at. But yeah, I feel like I looked at this pair too late, but then there's no such thing as too late, especially with price. There's always an opportunity, right? There's always an opportunity. And speaking of opportunities, we are here on the 4 hour. So this is where the juice is, right? If you look at the 4 hours, it's much more clear. Either price breaks through this level, uses any level right here as an order block, continues to the upside, or price fails to break through this high. And then if we fail to break through this high, it means that we're going to get a young correction up till the zone and then use it to go up. But yeah, other than that, I'm still holding other pairs. If you follow me on Telegram, then you'll know exactly which pairs am I still holding from previous analysis. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys for this week. The markets are looking a bit, if I'm being honest, no clear setups, but we apply proper risk management and we apply the rules of our strategy. For now, this is all I have for you guys. See you in another video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.